What's up guys, Cory here, and today we're reviewing the new feel-good film, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, starring Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers. Now, does the film do itself justice, or is this a neighborhood you're going to want to skip? We'll break it down for you right now in Attack of the Review.
Hey, I'm looking for Fred Rogers.
In here.
It's a beautiful day in this neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? Please won't you be my neighbor? Hello, neighbor.
Mr. Rogers, I'm here to interview you.
It is so nice to meet you.
A journalist's life is enriched by friendship when he takes on an assignment profiling Fred Rogers. The film was directed by Marielle Heller and stars Tom Hanks, Matthew Rhys, Susan Kelechi Watson, and Chris Cooper, just to name a few.
A hero?
This film is based on the true story of journalist Tom Junod and his friendship with Fred Rogers.
The world positive ways of dealing with their feelings.
Yeah? Like what?
There are many things you can do. You can play all the lowest keys on a piano at the same time.
Now going into this film, I didn't know exactly what to expect. I just recently watched Won't You Be My Neighbor to get ready for this, and I will say that movie gave you so much insight into who Fred Rogers was. It was really a masterpiece of a documentary, especially to honor such a role model for his time and for his age and what he did for the country. Because I was growing up in the early to mid 90s watching those kind of shows as I was growing up, and it was a big influence on people like me. So to see that kind of portrayed not only a documentary and then get a film version of it a couple years later is really, really cool for me. So going in, I had high hopes. I really expected a lot because this should be a fresh story in a lot of people's minds, and it's another true story that's actually going to be portrayed. So you didn't know exactly if it was going to be super biopic or if it was going to just be a story in the middle of his life, which seemed to be a little bit more what they leaned to in the commercials and towards the trailers, and I thought that was kind of a cool way of advertising for it, to really kind of, I think, downplay the feeling of a biopic, but it still was really great because it was set up like a Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood episode, and I thought some of those things really pulled you into the film. It made you still feel like you were in his world again, and they didn't make you feel like you had to be reintroduced. They just brought you in and made you feel loved immediately and made you feel like, I'm going to give you everything you want to know about Mr. Rogers as you need to know it instead of having to make you feel kind of dumb. And I thought that was a really good aspect. So going in, high hopes, and all of them were met with shining colors.
Hey, Mr. Rogers! It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Please won't you be my neighbor?
That was wonderful.
So for the acting, I got to give the acting an A. I definitely thought Tom Hanks played Fred Rogers like probably nobody else in the world could. They really gave him a lot to work with, and he as an actor obviously pulls a lot of what Fred Rogers really is and who he is into the character. So there's a lot of times you believe it's still kind of Fred Rogers on screen even though you know it's Tom. And then there's a lot of Matthew Rhys that he's having a lot of stubborn moments with his father in this film, and that's a lot of emotional stuff that sometimes you can't get right. But I will say a lot of the times you feel yourself about to cry right when a character on screen starts to do the same thing, and that's really tough to portray, and I think they did a really good job, some of these characters. They had a lot of emotional things they had to pull off, and they pulled them off with flying colors. So not only was Fred Rogers an outstanding character here because you're getting a person and you know what he's supposed to be like, and you're getting somebody not only playing him perfectly but bringing you in and making you feel like the character's in there still, but you're also getting introduced to these new characters that you don't know, and you're brought into their lives, and I think that's a really good aspect of this film. It will be something that people can enjoy at all ages, and that people can talk about with not only their friends, because it's a very serious film, but with family and some of the issues that they have to deal with. So this was a film that the acting really was a big part of it, and got to give it an A because of how outstanding it was.
He's just about the nicest person I've ever met. I just don't know if he's for real.
Lloyd, please, don't ruin my childhood.
Alright, for the cinematography, I gotta give the cinematography an A-. The only reason I'm giving it an A- is because they had moments that I thought they could have done slightly more with the cinematography. Not that it wasn't great, I just thought there was some really good moments where there's some shots that they hang on, for example, in like a diner later on in the movie that's really cool, where they kind of focus on Tom Hanks for a little bit longer than you would anticipate, and you just find yourself just starting to grin because he's kind of staring into your soul. Not to give that scene away, you'll see it when it's there because it's a really powerful scene, but there's these moments in the film that you really are brought into it, and they do a lot with like models to give you these feelings of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood-esque vibe to the whole film, which really brings you in and makes you feel like a kid again. And I think that's really cool because you accept it, you like it. No matter what, I think people will just know that that's what the essence of it is that Mr. Rogers is the essence of those moves. They're supposed to be the way they are, and they're pulled off with, great, accuracy. And there's some moments in this film that could have just been better, in my opinion. I think some of the moments with the families, some of the moments that could have been slightly more emotional, I think could have been brought out better, but they were still really, really powerful, and I think it's just maybe one or two moments. That's the only reason I'm giving it a minus, is because I think there's just a couple things you could have looked at these scenes and said, what could we do better here? What could we have given a little bit more life, brought us in to feel a little bit something more with these characters instead of just a conversation with a couple 180s and a couple, turnaround angles and, maybe a moment of crying here or there to bring you in. But I think they could have done more there. But other than that, A- for sure for the cinematography.
Sometimes we have to ask for help, and that's okay.
Now, overall, I got to give this film 4 out of 5 stars. I thought the film was really, really good. I came out of the movie, with faith in humanity. It was just one of those things that you go into a film like this, you expect it to be a feel-good movie. It's a little darker and more serious than it could have, probably shown in some of the trailers, because then you would have went in expecting it to be that way. But it was like a Mr. Rogers episode. It was like you're going in, he's telling this story, these moments that you're just really brought in, you're captivated by because you're so related to the characters. And then these moments that make you just feel happy and giddy again, just like a kid when you watch the show, because they do things just like the show did. And that's kind of the cool part of it. You get Tom Hanks as a great Mr. Rogers. You get Matthew Rice as Lloyd Fogel, and he's a great character for people to relate to because of the issues that he deals with in the film. I thought it set really, really well, and it was just a film that I thoroughly enjoyed. So Mr. Rogers is an icon in American history, in my opinion. So I think everyone should go out and see A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, because not only is Tom Hanks great in it, and it's a film that everyone should see because of some of the issues it deals with, but because Mr. Rogers is an icon that should still be, an influence in today's society. So A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, go check it out now. It's in theaters.
I think the best thing we can do is to let people know, that each one of them is precious.
Alright guys, that's all the time we have today for this review of A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Let us know what you thought about the film down here in the comments. As always, hit subscribe over here, and we'll see you next time on Midnight Media TV.